So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're doing our February monthly debrief. So this is episode 2 of our monthly debrief series. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few different things. Yes. These are our long rambling videos once a month. So we'll go through games that we played in February.
Yep.
Things that we're looking forward to next month. And then we do have a topic segment that was submitted by one of our patrons. So if you're interested and you want to influence and have some discussion about what we talk about in these upcoming videos, head over to our Patreon account. The link is down below. And there's basically I set up a monthly post where you can submit topics, and I'll pick one that's good or relevant. And
no politics.
We'll go through them eventually.
No current events. We just want to know wargame, gaming topics. Stuff. Yeah.
So, let's start with, then, what we played in February.
It was a good month.
It was a short month.
It was a short month. I feel like we actually played every weekend.
Yep.
Which is...
At some point on every weekend.
More often than not, we play 3 out of, say, 4 weekends. But this month, we actually played every weekend. We played a short Friday night one. We did a couple marathon long day...
Couple big Saturdays.
Saturdays. So, yeah, it was a good month. Well, I'll go ahead and start.
Let's get cracking.
So one of the games that I played solo is In Magnificent Style, Pickets Charged. This is a new deluxeified edition of the classic. I want to say it was 1986 or 1996.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Designed by Herman Luttman. This deals with with Pickets Charge at Gettysburg. So it's a very interesting game, solo game, beautiful components. Looking back on BGG at the other game that I've never played, this is better organized, clearer. The cards have been redone, and they're dual-purpose cards. So you draw from the same deck, and there's a top event, which is the Confederates, and then there's a bottom event, which is the Union. Depending on what you've been directed to do, you read either one of those. So it's really interesting. It's a press your luck, dice rolling game, lots of dice rolling. And there's a lot of luck involved. If the dice are against you that day, you're going to get massacred. It's going to be very similar to history. If the dice are on your side and you press your luck enough, but not too much, you can make it. Really good. Good game. Herman did a great job on this. The initial game, it's one I've always wanted to play. But as Worthington has signed these older edition games to do a second edition deluxeification, nice. I've been looking forward to this one. This one came out on Kickstarter, I want to say, last summer, and was just fulfilled at the beginning of this year. So that was one that I played. You have a copy, and you're going to play it, I think.
Yes, I do.
But I really enjoyed it.
We also played, we got Napoleon 1807. This actually showed up
about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and we basically played it immediately because it looked cool.
And it's interesting because I think this has been in 3 or 4 of our videos already that we've shot. So.
This is a cracking game.
It is.
We spent an afternoon playing this. Not even an afternoon. It takes a couple hours to play. It's not a long game, but it's very, very good, and this comes highly recommended. If you can get a hold of this thing, it's very nice. They have they announced they've got a Waterloo. Edition of this game, 1815.
Same system, but dealing with Waterloo in 1815.
The system's very good. The production value's off the charts.
Yeah.
And this is a nice game because it's not massively complex, right?
No.
The rulebook's not terribly difficult to learn, and you could play this and learn this with most opponents very easily. Yeah,
so this is from a French publisher, Shakos, and I've made a comment in another video. It was interesting when we mentioned that they had contacted us and that they were sending us this game.
Yes.
Man, people came out of the woodworks. Fred Serval, Morgaine, saying, all the French friends that we have, man, you guys need to play this. It's so good. And we're like, hell yeah, it is.
Yes,
we played it.
Agree.
We agree. Yep. So, yeah, it was a great game. I'm really glad we made this connection and we're able to play this game. And furthermore, we have some other games to look forward to from them.
Yes. So another game that I played is Cowboys II, Cowboys and Indians, which is the coolest title of all time.
I'm really sad that I didn't get to play this.
We still might. So this game is technically a 2021 release, very new. This just showed up. I played this with my father-in-law.
Yeah.
And I chose to do that because he happened to be coming over for dinner anyway. So I tricked him into playing a bunch of games afterwards. So I was able to squeeze out some reviews with it. But this is it's a deluxe version of Cowboys, basically.
Okay.
They reworked a lot of things. They bumped it up with how much is in there and the quality of all the components and stuff. But I wanted to play this with him because, man, he plays all those old Avalon Hill games 40 years ago, and he kept
this is reminiscent
mentioning
of that.
the one that was called Gunslinger.
Yeah, he did.
He
You're
talks
right.
about Gunslinger
All the time.
And whilst that's got a bit more involved, a
Yeah.
bit more tactically complex, I was like, I know he's going to like this because we can play it immediately, and it has some of those little flavors in it still.
Yeah.
Because you're a couple cowboys moving on these geomorphic squared map boards, and it's moving, getting into line of sight, shoot your guns, you know.
Do you roll dice for the wounds?
You do, yeah.
Okay. So it's a little bit of dice rolling.
Yeah, you know, you've got a 6 shooter. It's got 6 ammo in it.
Okay.
Every time you shoot it, you got to mark your ammo that you lose. You shoot, you roll dice.
Can you reload?
Yep.
Okay.
That costs 2 of your 4 actions to reload.
Ooh.
And
So you can really get caught.
and you only have 4 actions if you have 4 hit points left. If you take damage, you get
only
4
have 3
action
or
points.
2.
And
Wow.
It's a cheeky little game. There's quite a lot in the box, surprisingly. There's a lot of different scenarios.
And
in
it says 1 to 12 players.
Yeah.
I mean, is it bigger scenarios that have like 8 gunfighters each side, and you could each control
1, yeah.
1 or 2, and you
Yeah.
play with 4 or 5 guys? Okay.
Which would be fine. There would be a lot of downtime if you did that.
Got
the
it.
game plays at a very quick pace, generally speaking. But like, if you're gonna play with 12 people, your turn's gonna come up
Once
1/12
in
of the time.
yeah.
That's I don't know.
So is this an easy enough game to introduce, say, new people?
I would play this with literally anyone.
Okay, could Atticus get this, a 7-year-old, or is that too...
If we sat down and did it, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, let him win occasionally. You're going to drive him away from the
here's
hobby.
thing. This is a dice rolling game, so he's probably going to win anyway. Because I can't roll for...
Well, and he loves dice rolling as
Yes.
well, so he's winning just rolling the dice.
Yes.
But you suck at dice rolling.
Yeah, so
You do,
this
really.
this is just a fun little game. We had dinner and we played it 3 times afterwards.
I was
Very quick.
noticing the sleeve. I think Worthington does that with some of their
on
Kickstarters.
on some of their deluxe editions.
For me, that doesn't do anything, but it's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
it just is. It's just different artwork.
but they
cool.
did a really good job. It
Victoria
looks
Cross
great.
2 has one of these sleeves as well.
Okay, that was a game we still haven't played. Man, there's a lot of games we need to play.
Yeah. So I played that
Yeah.
one this month. That was fun.
Another one. This is a big war game, a long war game.
Yes.
We played like a 4-hour scenario, but I think the campaign would take 40 hours, is what it says on the back of the box.
And that's probably an accurate
yeah,
assessment, if not.
yeah. But from Salerno to Rome, and I always mess this up, Dissimula, Edizioni.
You gotta do the...
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah, right. Sergio Schiavi. This is his second game. He did a Kickstarter for a Napoleonics game a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago. Man, we really liked this one. We had a great time with this.
Very good.
We did not include this in our recent 2020 top 10 video, but it was an honorable mention.
Yes.
Because we both liked it. We had a great time. If they had smaller scenarios that could play in, say, 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 hours, we might have thought a little higher of it.
So it has a couple of those.
It does.
But
It's not the whole game.
You want to play
Yeah.
the whole game, and the whole game it's 40 plus hours.
Yeah.
It's a long commitment, and that's
Yeah.
something that realistically is something that's going to be hard for us to get to for that long.
But it was a great game. The thing I was really caught by was the simplicity of the systems
Yeah.
in the context of the game. I mean, it's a hex encounter war game. There's a lot of elements going on, but they're really fairly simple and understandable. Also, it's just beautiful. The map is gorgeous. The counters are great. I really enjoyed this. If you don't have a copy, I'm not sure it's going to be easy to get a copy.
You've got to get it imported, and it's not cheap.
Yeah, it is a 2020 release that I think most people need to figure out how to get a hold of. So, from Salerno to Rome. And it tells you.
It's
war
a war game.
No, we liked that.
Other games that I played...
Cheeky little games, right?
Yes. These are a couple of little titles from Games Workshop. This is a 2020 release. This was like 2018 or something.
And we played this one together
Yeah.
many 3 years ago.
These are little dungeon crawly style board games. I played both of these with Atticus, who's 7, and he really enjoyed them.
So this is in the Warhammer 40k
universe. Yes.
So this is Space Marine Adventures.
This is Labyrinth of the Necrons.
And then this is Rise of the Orcs.
They're both actually quite different.
Yeah.
It's the same core concept, right? I'm a little squad of Marines, Tactical and Primaris, and it's trying to achieve a goal. This one is very much just like moving around, rolling some dice, shooting some guys. This is moving around, rolling some dice, shooting some guys. And I realize now I've said that out loud, those are identical. However, it is identical. They play out very differently the way that they
this one uses action points, if I remember. Yes. It's like you have a certain amount of points to use. And this one, I think, is not. It's more of a tower defense, right?
Yeah, so this one, the Necrons, they just spawn, and they never attack. They're there to block you and get in the way, and you just have to have enough actions to shoot them out of the way and get off the board.
Okay, we played that, and I'm drawing a blank on that.
Yes.
But, okay.
And I was like, I don't remember it being like that, but it is.
Okay.
They there's a ton of them that spawn, and the game is get them the hell out of the way so
that you can move to the objective and get out. Okay.
Whereas this one, the orcs are running around trying to blow some bits up, but then they're trying to run next to you and they do attack you. They move. The Necrons don't move in this, they just grow.
I'm embarrassed to say that I remember a little bit about the game, just not a ton. It's not typically a game we play, but it was interesting.
But this one's a bit more dynamic, and my son loved this one. He liked it a lot more than the other one.
Well, and Atticus is 7, and he does like rolling dice.
Yes.
So that's a good way to get him started.
Yeah, and it's fighting an Orc Horde, right? So you're going to roll a ton of dice, you're going to kill a lot of them, and it's the few that get through, right? So when you roll a dice, you get to every time you kill someone, so there's a lot of that in the game. So it was enjoyable for him, it was enjoyable for me as a father. Yeah. We played it together, it was grand all time.
You need to let him win occasionally, though.
It's a team game, so we win together, so it was great.
Yeah, just don't bury him in Cowboys II.
So that's all we played in February, I think.
Well, we played Aliens a little bit. We played some Gloomhaven a little bit.
We played so much.
You know, we play a lot of games. It's just sometimes we like to just take a break and play a game that we consider is for fun.
Yes, you know, this is my for fun game.
Yeah, it's just something to relax and enjoy. But we love our war games, and we would love to play more of those.
Speaking of which, what have we got on the docket for upcoming month?
For March.
Looking forward.
Well, there's quite a lot, actually. So this is a game, this is a prototype, and I like that it's a nice little small box. Saladin from Shakos, the same company that did this Napoleon 1807 game, French publisher. This game is in a new system called the Orders of Battle. So in essence, what it is, it focuses on Saladin and 2 of his most famous battles, Arsuf and Hattin. So those are the 2 battles that are focused on in this game. It uses formations. They call them lances. Very similar to a W1815 or a table battle style, those matchstick type units,
right? And they're generally static.
Yeah,
and you're rolling off against formations.
Yeah, you're fighting each other. They can take losses. You can do reinforcements. You can order them to do different things, and each of the leaders have different abilities. Your different units have some different abilities, and it's about trying to get what you need done before your orders run out. And the way you lose the game is your orders run out. So that represents lack of cohesion. Loss of morale, losses, But it's a simple game. I think it plays in 30 to 45 minutes. But I'll tell you what, production value is really top-notch on this one.
They're paying their artists, and I like it.
And the art's great. I think the components are very cool. Custom dice. We're going to play a prototype. This prototype copy, we're going to do a preview video. I'm working on an interview with the designer Dennis Savage. Look forward to this one in mid to late March.
Yes.
So that's one game we're looking forward to.
I am
working on.
And have been for some months.
What's the problem?
It's a very
dense. Well, it's different than what we normally play, right?
So this is TCS Ariat,
which is Tactical Combat Series.
This is like the 17th one in that series. But basically, this game series, you you have like these order sheets that you have to draw and like say this company's going here, this company's going here, this whole battalion with everyone is going over here doing this thing. And so you have to prepare a bunch of those, and then you execute those, and once you fulfill your requirements of, I did this thing, you can then move on to a subsequent one. And you also, halfway, at the end of each turn, you're like making new ones as you complete some of them.
Yeah.
So it's very involved, and doing that and doing it well is something.
Yeah.
But then also, like, there's like a whole actual war game underneath that as well. So
Got it.
You've got all your tactical move, shoots, combat, CRTs, elevation, all that stuff as well. So there's just a lot to learn in this, and this is the first one of these I've ever learned.
Yeah.
So I'm working through the rules. I'm really hoping to get this played soon.
And it's really different than what we normally play, right? I mean, we normally play like I go, you go.
Yes.
This is kind of simultaneous action order selection, and
you put all this, and that's just it. There's it's a lot of new things.
Yeah.
And so it
takes a little longer to digest.
Because I want to make sure we get it right, because it's probably easy to like mess this game up.
Get it together.
Yeah, I'm trying. So this is something that I'm really hoping to play in March.
Yeah.
And I'm putting myself out there. I really want to do that.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Oh, okay.
Oh, we got a lot of good stuff
Yes,
here.
like an unconscionable amount of good stuff. So,
Want me to help you?
yes.
Here, I'm going to grab the bottom and pull the... That's the way friction works.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay.
Yeah.
So Tom from Hollandspieler was very kind. She sent us Empire at Sunrise, which is their latest release.
John Gorkowski?
Yes, John Gorkowski.
He's done... I'm trying to think the game, like Indian Ocean region from Compass was John Gorkowski, I think.
I'm very excited to play this.
Yeah, it's World War I
Pacific
Theater. I mean, how many games have we played on that? Not many.
Almost none.
Plan Orange is one that I don't think we've ever played that, though.
And that's 1934. That's like a what if
different,
anyway.
yeah.
So this one, what's cool, you can't see it on the back,
Okay.
but this one, I haven't even opened it. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, we need to unbox it and we need to play it.
So this one, it has a big map, but it's 3 inset maps. So you've got a strategic level map, and then an operational level map, and then a more tactical map.
Okay.
So we've
played some games like that.
No. Is it Pavlov's House? Yeah.
Yeah, where it has the operational, tactical.
So you get the different scales of things going on and how this feeds into this and this. Cool setting, cool scenario. I've got some high hopes for this, but I want to play this.
Well, and it's also a Hollandspiel game, and they just always have good games. I mean, they're a little bit eclectic, a little bit different.
Yes,
but they're good games.
You always get something new to think about.
I've never played one of their games that I'm not like, wow, that was a good experience.
Yeah.
There have been games that I haven't enjoyed as much, but they got great systems.
Yeah, they're never
cool.
boring. It's always like, all right, what am I supposed to do here? There's something here that I need to figure out. And I appreciate it.
I know Tom and Mary, their model is they can take more risk. You know, they go for games that don't... And what I mean by that is they go for games that, because they're print on demand, they're not printing 1,000 copies and having it sit around and then be stressed out about selling that. They'll develop a game, sign it. If it only sells 100 copies, they're okay with that sometimes. I think they want to sell more.
You want to sell 1,000,
but they're not really out any... I mean, they are out money because they have... I mean, you got to pay for that. But I think their system works well and allows them to do a little more risky designs. And what I mean by risky is something that maybe a traditional wargame company would look at and go, yeah, we're not interested. Because it's not gonna meet what our clientele likes.
And that's the one thing I love about Tom is that she makes games that she likes.
That she would want to play. And I think she's also very shrewd. I think she knows what's going to work well sometimes, and sometimes doesn't know, but damn it, she's willing to take a risk. And I like that.
Never has Hollandspieler, I don't think, ever printed a game that wasn't something that Tom and Mary didn't like.
Oh, I think that's a given.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If bigger companies kind of like print whatever, not whatever, but like you can print another Bulge game.
Right.
Hollenspieler do not print.
They're not going to. They're not going to do
unless
that.
there's something
unique,
very
or
different about it. And so you're always going to get something cool. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
They also sent us the expansions for table battles.
I mean, these are so cool.
The expansion is just a deck of cards.
Yeah.
You get it in these nice little plastic containers. But
I want to do the Age of Alexander badly.
yes, so there's Age of Alexander, the Grand Alliance,
English Civil War,
Gettysburg, and War of the Roses.
Yeah.
So we are going to bash out a lot of table battles.
Well, and that's not a bad thing. Table battles plays in 20 minutes.
Yeah, at most.
You know, unless you have. There's been some where we kind of gotten into a loop.
Yeah, and
where
if
you're
in the
like
really big ones.
Well, you're like, I'm not going to attack with that guy. I'm just going to keep screening. I'm going to keep screening. I'm going to keep screening. It's like, come on, dude. You got to take a risk sometimes. But these games 15, 20 minutes, so we'll bash these out in an afternoon and play probably each one of them a couple of times. And I love them. I love more table battles.
Table battles.
Give me more.
So good. So I'm excited to have more table battles on our table and to get back into that as well.
That's a good system. And I'm sad we only didn't play it until it was 2nd edition. But I'm looking forward to those. You've got a whole bunch of stuff here. I've wanted to play Space Infantry.
Yes.
For a while. You got it in maybe January, February.
Yeah, you can't see it, but it's just up here.
Yeah, it's up there, and it's a solo game, but it has cooperative.
I think there's competitive as well.
Okay, but this is a new expansion called Federation.
This is a standalone game. This is not an expansion.
It's a standalone game.
Yes.
I stand corrected, but I've wanted to play this, not only the base system with you, but this one because I've seen this for a while.
Yes.
But this is from Lock and Load. They do great games. They kind of know where they live, and they're going to keep pumping out those games that they do well.
Yes.
Like Nations at War and like Lock and Load Tactical. And here's another one, Space Federation, or Space Infantry. They've got quite a few versions of it. So I want to play this one badly.
Yes, yeah. So Space Infantry is like a tactical dungeon crawler style game, kind of a thing.
This is different. You're saying
this is much more of a regular board game. There's a board with a star systems, and you're trying to vie for control of those.
Well, what the hell were we waiting on?
Well, I only just arrived.
Okay,
that's why.
Well, we love sci-fi.
Yes. Speaking of Lock and Load Tactical, though, they did recently come out with the newest edition of the rules, which is 5.1, and it comes with new flip charts, some admin counters, and play aids.
Yeah.
So
all updated under the 5th, kind of the 5.1 of the system.
I've got here's my 5.0, which is beaten to death because I played it so much.
Yeah.
But 5.0 was really good. People get scared by the battle tome. Do not be scared by the battle tome.
It's just more detail that you can refer to when you have questions.
And most of it is not even that. Like, the rules are like 1/5 of this. Everything else is examples, diagrams, learning.
But that's what I mean.
All
it's just
helpful stuff.
It's just got additional information to help you understand the system.
They actually cut a chunk of it out. They stripped some of it away. I don't know if it was scaring people. Or,
Yeah.
So this is a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah.
But
less
they've
daunting
tightened up
looking.
all over the stuff, and after 20 years, they really, I don't know. It's if you talk to David Heath, what he will say is he's like, it might not be the best system, but it's the most well supported. I think it is one of the best systems. I think it's a really good and very robust system. It's crunchy.
I've never played it and not had an interesting experience with it. And we've played several volumes. I mean, a lot of the World War II. You've played Heroes of Defiance, and we've played several of them. I've never had a bad experience with any of them.
But yeah, they're constantly trying to put out the best version of it.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. And I'm hoping new rules, new flip cards. So now I'm just going to dive back into it and just play even more. So that's something that I will probably do some more solo of, and maybe we can crack out some of the titles we haven't played yet as well.
Yeah,
I would like to do that in March.
Well, and here's I'm going to give a plug for Gimpy. The Gimpy Gamer, he has done what he calls his boot camp.
Yes,
and he literally goes through this. Actually, the 5.0, the 5.0, and goes through all the different rules. And he does some of them are longer videos where he adds a couple of them together. But if you're wanting to learn this system, the Gimpy Gamer is a very good resource for that. Yeah. He has dozens of videos on that. So give him a look and check it out if you're interested in this. But this is a great system. I've always enjoyed Lock and Load Tactical.
Yes. On a slightly different tech, I did also get from Osprey Games. I pre-ordered their A Billion Suns.
A Billion Suns.
And I believe this is the same designer, Mike Hutchinson, who did Gaslands, which is a very popular little tabletop game. This is a tabletop miniatures game. It's sci-fi. So, Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare.
Yep, with all those cool spaceships.
I painted all of those because I'm an insane person. No, they're all in the box.
Oh, they're all in the box now.
Yep, I got them. I got all of them done. It took me an absolute age.
Yeah.
So I love this.
I want to play it.
You showed this to me, and I was like,
yeah,
I gotta get in there.
Yeah.
So I pre-ordered it. This just arrived.
Well, capital ship combat in space. I mean, it's just what's not to like.
And the focus on this is corporate. I don't know if you read it. So,
I didn't. So
in this,
what does that even mean? It's corporate.
So you care about money.
Okay. So it's not for conquest, or it's just about how to get money.
Yes, and you get money by conquesting efficiently.
Got it.
So, if I've got a force and I'm attacking you and defeating you to gain some objective for which there's a contract, that contract's worth money. Now, if the fight's not going well, I can warp in a capital ship.
Okay.
But that costs
it's going to cost
money.
you. Yeah.
And so I'm deferring cost against what I might get.
Okay.
And you play this with multiple boards.
Okay.
So you have a small little one here, big one over there, and you fight 2 games simultaneously, and it's like the conglomerate of all of these is how much profit you made. So you might take a tank on this, but win 2 others and still like win.
Wow. I remember reading through that and thinking this is interesting, but I don't remember all that detail.
It's it's gonna be very cool. I have a lot of high hopes for this.
So normal gamers, where do they get their miniatures for this? I know you got it from Red Alert.
There is a ton of places you can source them. This is it's miniature neutral or miniature agnostic. So
you can do anything.
Yeah, you can play with your Star Wars Armada stuff.
Well, that's cool.
You can play with basically anything. There's a ton of other companies that make little metal putal ships and stuff. You can get them from basically anywhere. But I happen to have Red Alert, and that's perfect.
Well, let's get it on the table. I'm interested. Yes. I'm intrigued. So A Billion Suns. I like that name. That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. I also have a couple things which I'm interested to dabble in.
Yeah.
I hope maybe we can get into some of this month, but this might be spread over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Because this has like 6 little mini games in it.
A lot of little games in there.
So we have a very generous donation from one of our viewers. And so this is the Classic Pocket Box Games Bundle.
Which, when you took that picture of it, I laughed at that title. I just thought that was hilarious. But from Steven Jackson Games,
I tweeted out a picture of this, and I get a text from Grant saying, "The hell is that?" So, if you don't know, it's basically like a massive pizza box with these. They're not VHS tapes, but they're almost VHS tapes. But inside of them are these little pocket war games, and they're basically all from 1980 or 1981. So this one's Raid on Iran, and you've got a little map in here, and it straight up looks like it was printed in 1980s. And you've got all your little combat counters and dice. Everything's self-contained.
Did John clip those? Or did you clip them?
I did not. I haven't touched any of this.
Okay, these are nicely clipped.
A lot of this was it was all pre-punched and clipped.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not they came...
Kung Fu 2100.
Like...
That's one I gotta play.
The awful green things from outer space. Like, some of it's... Like, there's a bulge game.
Oh,
right?
well, of course.
There's the 1980s Iranian Revolution.
And we've heard that Undead is phenomenally good.
Like, these are just fun little pocket titles, which I'm like, you know what? I would never have had an opportunity to play these. But
are they 2-player games mostly?
I think almost all of them are.
Okay.
But,
well, we'll fit them in kind of as a cool down between some of our bigger games,
we'll
right?
Squeeze some of those in. So I just thought that was pretty cute. Appreciate that. And then also, we were donated also Crisis Protocol.
I mean, Marvel superheroes with miniatures.
Yeah, small miniatures. So this will take me an age to paint, but at some point this year...
Yeah, that would be
that's something in the future that we'll probably get to.
We've already talked about more games than we're most likely going to be able to play this month. But, I still have my copy of the second edition of 1989 from GMT Games.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Card-driven, fall of the Soviet Union. I want to play that one badly. I brought it a couple weeks ago and we ended up playing two or three other games, but that's one I'd love to play. So we got to get that in the mix somehow as well.
There's a lot of stuff. So those are the games.
Yeah.
At least a good chunk of these I would like to get to. Things like table battles, very doable. Saladin we're going to probably do today.
Yeah, because we can fit that in. You know, we'll play a big game and then we can play one or two of these little games.
And some of the lock and load tactical, I'm going to use a lot of these new rules with solo so I can squeeze those in myself. So there's a plan, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Because based on what we'd projected to play last month, we played a good amount of it.
I think we played 4 games. I felt like we didn't really play that much.
But like, I've still got Fury at Midway that we were going to play that day, and then we played a bunch of other stuff instead.
I think we ended up,
best laid plans and all that.
I will say that is one of the more frustrating things about what we do and how we do it. Because we get so many different types of games, and we want to try to give all of them a look. Man, we just can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to me. I guess if we lived together and worked together and could be here all day long, just, it's your turn, take a move and then go back to work or something. I'm not advocating that at all. But I don't know how to play all the games that we have, but
it's tough.
We'll see.
It's tough.
We have fun with it.
So, anything on Kickstarter that's happening at the moment that we want to talk about?
Yeah, we already talked about the Saladin. That will be mid to late March. The other one that I'm aware of, actually there's a couple more that I'm aware of. Worthington Publishing is doing a deluxeification of States of Siege series number 11, Malta Besieged.
I love that they've bought up a bunch of those States of Siege games and are redoing them, because if Worthington does one thing right, it's components.
Yeah.
And that's basically the only thing that States of Siege needed, because they were typically tight games, well established. Man, give it a bumper box with bumper components. I'm sold. I'm so excited for some of those games.
So it's supposed to be mid to late March. I've got an interview going with Steve, the designer, Steve Welch. Steve Carey. John Welch did Boxer Rebellion, Keep Up the Fire. I'm getting my names confused.
Both States of Siege. Yeah, because Keep Up the Fire that just finished. Yeah.
So looking forward to that one. There's also a couple that I noticed recently on Facebook. One is called Clash in the Ardennes. It's a 2-player card game. Looks very interesting. I need to do a little more research on it.
Is it another Bulge game?
Well, it's a card game, so it's not necessarily a hex encounter war game. But that's one that I saw. There's a lot of Kickstarters coming out, and a lot more than I'm aware of. I know we've been contacted by a guy that's got a Robotech-based coin game.
Is that what that is? The Reconstruction?
Yes, Robotech Reconstruction.
Oh, is it a coin inspired?
It is coin inspired, meaning all the factions are asymmetric, all the factions win differently, all the factions have certain abilities that only they can use.
But it's a conflict-based game?
It is, yep. So you're representing, and it's from Strange Machine Games, which I'm not that familiar with, but they do a lot of Robotech, and Robotech was one of the things from my childhood that I really loved. But it just looks very interesting. So they're going to send us a copy right around the 1st of May. So it's a couple months away, and then supposedly it's supposed to kick off in June.
Wow.
So I'm interested and excited about that one. There's some others that I'm aware of, but probably too early to talk about.
Right.
You know, part of what we do is we do those interviews. So a lot of people see that we've done those interviews for Kickstarters, and they'll contact us. I'm totally okay with that.
Yes.
I love to do those interviews, so it just gives me an opportunity to see some more games. So, anyway, looking forward to those as well.
Okay, so I think that's enough of Kickstarter for now. All he says. Okay, I don't know if you know about this.
What?
I backed the 2nd edition of the One Ring role-playing game.
I've been seeing that, and I wondered if you might be backing the 2nd edition.
I did.
Okay.
I'm very excited for that.
That's a great role-playing system. We've enjoyed, actually, quite a bit of it. We played it with Harold Buchanan and a couple of other guys that are our friends. We also played it with
together and finish that.
Yeah, me and my son. We played a small campaign with you. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
But
it's
yeah.
a good time. Okay.
That's a whole different thing.
That
but
just ended, right? Didn't
yes,
it just
that
end?
ended just this week.
What was the pledge? A couple hundred?
Not even.
Okay,
It's just like $140.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's for like the mega
pack.
once in a lifetime leather bound gold embossed version.
Nothing
with all
wrong
the
with
extra
that.
stuff. So
can you just give the old first edition to me and you can?
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I mean the first edition's fantastic.
Yeah.
still. But yeah, that's something. Anyway, enough.
I
of
knew about the
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. I didn't know you had backed it.
No, yeah, I done that. Anyway, so let's talk about our topic of the month,
The topic of the month.
which was brought to us by one of our very generous patrons. We had a couple suggestions, some of which will actually probably come up and we'll use in subsequent months potentially. But the one thing that was requested this month was a discussion on Wargame magazines.
Okay.
And kind of some of what there is and what they're like, what the differences are, things like that. So, which is, a couple of years ago, I did a video talking about some of the Wargame magazines that there are. And I think I talked about like 3, because that's basically all I had at the time and the experience that I had. But people kept asking because we were playing some of the games from those.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I saw a guy made a comment recently about, you did a Wargame magazine and you didn't cover Avalon Hills.
you didn't cover, Avalon Hills the General.
Well, sorry, we don't have access
Yeah.
to stuff that's
and
30. I mean,
I haven't read
Yeah.
a single issue of the General, so that's why.
right. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. We just don't have access to it or haven't
You
been.
just haven't got there yet.
I mean, we'll get there. one
Wargaming is a
day.
massive hobby.
Yeah.
But we do have a huge stack of different Wargame magazines we can talk about. So, let's start
There's
with...
so many.
We'll start with some of the more, commonly known ones.
Yeah.
So we'll start here.
It's okay to say popular.
Yeah, sure.
I think some of these are the more popular ones.
So we've got C3I. This is one that you probably have heard of. And if you haven't, you need to get onto RBM Studios and get in on this action. So, Roger McGowan makes these. It's an annual. There's one every year, comes out just before Christmas time typically, or around Christmas time. These magazines focus heavily on GMT produced games.
But not just, but they
No.
do. Yeah, that typically is the center focus.
It's GMT games. But they do highlight some other bits and pieces, but a lot of the content covers games that GMT makes or has made.
Yep.
And has designers with people who have designed games for them.
Yep.
And that just happens to be, that's the sphere that they're working in. The nice thing that I like about C3I is every year you get at least one game in it.
Yeah, sometimes two.
Sometimes two. But
Which we haven't played the most recent ones yet.
No.
We're trying to get to the Tigers Are Burning and
Firebase Vietnam.
yeah.
Yes. So you get a couple games in it, and some of them are amazing.
Yeah.
Some of them are just good. Some of them are like this one had Case Blue in it, which was a scenario that was extracted from Unconditional Surrender.
We played that.
We played it, and you're like, that one was more like, this is a primer for Unconditional Surrender.
And I remember after we played that, I felt like I had literally just had a couple of hors d'oeuvres and I wanted more. And ironically, we played that on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
4 or 5 years ago.
Whereas there are some titles we've got South Pacific came in this one.
Yep.
Plan Orange, Waterloo, where it's much more like this is a fully fleshed out, full blown Z's game, right?
Yeah.
So you get different things in each of them, but my favorite part about these games is all of the extra stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you get a game, but you also get a bunch of different scenarios or optional rules or variants of all of the other games that they've made. So there was a time where you could basically almost guarantee you were going to get some form of Great Battles of History, some scenario in here of that. A lot of times you get that, but some of them have some errata counters.
Yep. Yeah, they always have one counter sheet that mainly is the main game in the magazine, but it also has probably 24 other type counters, either additional or a variant or errata
Yes.
that have been discovered.
And I don't know, it's cool. I like getting these because you're like, ooh, what do I have in here that's new for me? So you get like a couple of counters from Holland 44, and there's like an extra, there's like a half page of like, hey, use these this way. Extra, look, just a little addition here. And I just love that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a sucker for it. I get it. But, you get a bit for Fields of Fire. You get a bit for Last 100 Yards.
Here's something for Triumph and Tragedy. No new counters, but some new scenarios.
Yeah, and so you get a bunch of nice, cool stuff. And each of those things will be accompanied with either a small article or some notes from the designer as well. Yeah. But on top of that, Mark Herman always puts out a big article in these.
Oh, yeah.
From Cleo's Corner.
I have read, I think, every one that I own, literally cover to cover.
Yeah.
I've read every article, and they're great.
Yeah, so C3I, if you find yourself getting a lot of GMT games, check these out, because it's worth that extra. You get a good magazine with it, but you also get to enhance all your other games.
But be warned, sometimes you'll get counters that you're like, oh, I don't have that game. Now I got to get that game.
Yes. Can be quite dangerous that way.
I have found myself occasionally going, I've got this really cool variant, but I don't own that game. I got to get that game. So be warned. But I think C3I, in my opinion, is the gold standard in the industry. Now, maybe some people will call me a shill or a sellout, but I feel like theirs just are better. Now, that does not mean the others are not good. I've read all of those as well. We've played most of those games. I just like C3I.
C3I is very nice. One of the other more famous magazines we got here is Strategy and Tactics. Strategy and Tactics.
You just bought one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Set Point Mutiny. Yeah.
Yes. So this has been around for a very long time. This is like issue 320 or something stupid like that. They've been around for an unconscionable amount of time. So this one, it's put out by... It's Strategy and Tactics Press.
It's Decision Games,
but
basically.
It's done by Dark, and he's the owner of Decision Games. So you get you get some coverage of their games, but in this one, I feel like this is it's a wargame magazine, but you also get a lot of history in this as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they also comes with a game. I think recently they did campaigns of 1777. That was last year.
Yeah, I own that one.
That was a very, very good game.
We loved that game.
Because you get a game in it, it's got all the rules in it.
Yep.
But man, you get a ton of background history about that.
I read those articles
and all of this kind of ancillary stuff on top of that, so that you can understand better about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's stuff in this one. There's big articles about Choctaws. And
the original Wind Talkers.
Yeah, here you get a lot of good history-based combat stuff.
It's Navajo.
More than just like game reviews.
Yeah.
And like specific game-related stuff.
Yeah.
Like you get some of that history is rooted in some of the games, but a lot of this stuff is just. It's a history magazine almost.
Yeah.
That happens to have a war game in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this is done so well, because it appeals to people who aren't just war gamers.
Yeah.
I think you can get a lot out of this if you aren't a war gamer but you are interested in history.
Our father-in-law has read this in the past.
Yes.
So, but yeah, Strategy and Tactics is good. I have quite a few of theirs, as do you. We've played several of their games, and they're always really good. So.
Yeah, they do. I think they do. They do like 5 or 6 a year of those. It's every 2 months. I think they put one of those out.
Yeah,
and they have a quarterly, which is a bit chunkier.
Yeah,
and the game's a bit more focused on something. So yes, that's Strategy and Tactics. Like a lot of people know what that is, and you can get back issues basically everywhere. Another older production is. This one's called Wargamer, or The Wargamer. I specifically got this one. I actually have 2 copies of this.
Yeah?
Yes. I got this because it has First Team Vietnam in it, which is a solitaire Vietnam war game, which I was interested in playing. And so I think I purchased a copy a while back, and then I recently came across another one, which was nice. But this one... This is like, it's an old magazine, and these ones show their age a bit more.
This one's from 86, I think it says on the cover.
Yeah, so if you can get a hold of these, pick and choose ones that you'd be interested in. because they're pretty dense. Everything's black and white, and you get the rules of your game in here. The staples, you got to take them out. But again, these are the older ones. This one, S&T, and probably the General. Those are the ones that have been around the longest and have paved the way for these other ones as well. So this references like a bunch of like all the old Avalon Hill games that I've never heard of, and it's probably never going to get to some of these just because I'm much newer to the hobby than this magazine is. But I enjoyed reading it. This magazine's a little bit thinner than some of the other ones because I think these ones came out monthly. I want to say.
Okay.
So there's less in it, and you get a game in the mail and you play it, and it's got the background of the game. And these are all right, but I pick and choose these
based on what
they're old,
the game
right?
is.
This is the game. Yep, I'll go and get it because it's from this magazine.
Well, and it's not that old things are bad. It's just we've all played a lot of the older games, and man, the rules just weren't always the best. I mean, I've played some of the games that our father-in-law has, and they're hard to understand. They really are. They're just hard for me to get and understand. Modern rule books, I think, are much, much better.
Yeah, we've gotten better at writing them.
Well, and they also have examples, know. They don't just give a bunch of text. There's also a graphic showing here's what we're talking about. So anyway, that's what I think the bias against older games is what you're referring to.
So the next one we got to talk about is magazine. It's not
it's yeah.
And you have to shout it. Every time.
Right.
It
like a barbarian.
Yes, it has an exclamation mark and it's written in capital letters.
You can't just say it.
Yeah, if you.
This is from Flying Pig Games.
Is it produced by Flying Pig?
I believe so.
I know it's by Mark Walker. I just didn't know if it was under the same title or if I don't know. I think
they sell them on their website. So
I just don't know how any of that stuff
they
works. But yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
But this one, it's done by Mark Walker at Flying Pig Games, and so they obviously talk about some of their games. Again, comes with a free game with it every time.
Yeah, this one has Race to the Sea by Herman Luttman.
Yes,
World War I game. But
this one more than some of the others that we've talked about.
When is this one?
This one was from
2016.
Yeah, this one's an older issue. I got some newer ones. I couldn't fish them out. But this one, more than some of the others, covers a lot of different types of games. Obviously, you get a nice, cool game in it. But Mark puts in reviews of games that he likes and that he has played and things that he's interested in. Sometimes not even war games.
Right.
I think in one of these issues, there was like
in one of them.
Gloomhaven. I think I saw Rising Sun in one of them. But a lot of it is war games, so don't let that turn you off. But because they talk about those other games, a lot of these are reviewy type things.
Yeah.
Where it's highlighting, hey, this is this game, this is what it's about, here's why I liked it or didn't like it. They do typically have a designer interview or two in there as well. And this one has, what I like about these is it's got like this thicker cover on it.
Yeah.
And it's got a spine to it, so it actually sits on the shelf a bit nicer than some of the other ones that are magazines that just, I don't know, feel a bit flimsy at times. But then at the end, it's kind of got like the rules for your game. And these rules typically don't pull out. You just read it in the back 5 or 6 pages of the game.
I'm trying to think some of the games we've played. Donetsk Airport.
Yeah, Donetsk. Battle of Donetsk, yeah.
Couple years ago we played.
He's got a review of Edge of the Empire in here.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the best role-playing games
of all time. It is. Star Wars. So good.
You get some... But then you got, here's Tannenberg. Right?
Yeah.
It's a very eclectic mix of games, and it's literally under the banner, games we love. It might not be the newest thing, but it's stuff that they love and they're playing, and they just want to, put it out there and share. Yeah. We've played a number of games from the magazines as well, and they're all decent or serviceable. But I like that one because it's a way to... That's the way that I get reviews of games that I maybe wouldn't normally look at.
Yeah.
So, the next thing I want to talk about is Against the Odds. Now, this one it's a Wargame Journal. So I think it...
So they pick a topic, right, that the game is on, and then typically it is all about the history... The strategy of the actual battles, so it's really focused on that combat.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was trying to see how many... Well, I don't want to say, but if it's a journal, to me that's almost like a periodical where there's only maybe 1 or 2 every year. There might be 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'm
like
not sure how many of them. Yeah,
but it's not like I don't think it's a monthly publication.
No, it's not a monthly.
But it's also not one a year. I think it just says number 42. I don't know.
Okay, number 52.
But I don't. Yeah, I think they, if they do a couple of these a year, it's not like it's somewhere in between 1 a year and 12 a year.
Yeah,
which is very vague.
It's not 12 a year, but yeah.
But yeah, like you said, this one very much is. This is a magazine that centers around the game that's in it.
Yeah.
So you have a nice game that's been designed and, play tested and put through, and in this, full rules. And the rules in this one are typically pretty decent. Mm-hmm. Like, some of the magazine games, it's like, here's my little game with, 4 or 5 pages of rules. This is like a full-blown war game where you're going to get sometimes 10, 15, 20 pages of rules. But the rest of the publication is almost purely about the history of that game, the tactics, the notes from the designer. You get nice bibliographies and things for further reading. And you get a couple other bits and pieces of other things that are in here. But the majority of it is based around the title game.
Yeah.
So just know that going into it. If you want to go into their back catalogue and pick and choose games from that way, you're going to go in depth about one thing.
So I have 4 of them. Operation Ichigo is one, designed by Tai Bamba. I also have 2 American Revolutionary War games.
Yes.
Tarleton's Quarter from I want to say 5 years ago. And then Almost a Miracle, which is the northern theater of the American Revolution. Tarleton's Quarter is the southern theater. That one just came out last year. I have both of those. And then I also have Bradley's D-Day.
Yes.
So it's a look at certain beaches, and now they're coming out with Monty's. Sorry. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, but it's D-Day. They're very well done. The counters are fantastic. We have yet to play one of them, but we need... There's like a stack we need to play.
Yes, but yes, as far as the magazine goes, these ones are very much focused on the game that comes in it, rather than giving you a bunch of other reviews.
But they're actually they're really well done.
Because we've played a lot of their games.
We've played some of their boxed
games,
and I thought they were good and interesting. We just need to get around to playing a couple of these. So,
but yes, the magazine itself is it's like that.
Yeah.
Right, you're not getting all the extra stuff. Okay. The last magazine that we're going to talk about, because I have it, is Battles Magazine, which is
a French magazine, right?
publication.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite war
It's
game
really
magazines.
nice, too.
I think the contents of the magazine, this might be my favorite one. Mm-hmm. As much as I love C3 Ariat, I like C3 Ariat because I like the stuff in C3.
Right.
Whereas this is friggin' huge. These are
132 pages.
Yeah, this one's 136 pages. And it is chock full of so much good stuff. A lot of it is game reviews.
Here's Last 100 Yards, Westphalia, which we played from Hollenspiel.
Excellent game. So you get a
table battles,
bunch of exposure to games and a myriad of different types of war games. But there's also a bunch of different pieces about other hobby topics.
Yeah.
Design philosophies and things like that. They also have interviews. They usually have 1 or 2 in each magazine.
Well, just to give you an idea, I'm going to read this banner.
Sure.
Reviews on Brazen Chariots, which is Multiman Publishing. Glory Recalled was a Kickstarter on Hong Kong, the battles of Hong Kong in World War II. Skies Above the Reich, which is GMT game that you've played. Counterattack, the Battle of Arras, 1940. I'm not sure what that game is.
I think that's MMP.
Supply Lines of the American Revolution. Table Battles. The Revelation War from Compass Games. Less Than 60 Miles. Last 100 Yards. Crossing the Line 300. I mean, it's everything. It covers the entire industry.
And you get...
Plus, they have a game inside.
Yes. And Battles magazine, is quite self-aware. The strapline is that it's the most delayed magazine since Gutenberg.
Yeah.
And they print that here as a subtitle. You get one of these every year. Sometimes you get 2.
Yeah, right.
It's rare. Sometimes you get 2. They plan on doing X amount, but it's tough to get this amount of content together.
One? This is number 12, 13, 14.
I think 14 is the most recent one.
Yeah.
And these also do come with a full-blown Z's Wargame in it. This one had Drop Zone in it. This one, the latest one had Storm over Madrid, which I've got. And I was watching Mark Herman play it on Twitter. He was tweeting, I'm like, oh, it looks so good. I just need to get around to that one. But this magazine is chock full of pretty in-depth game reviews and analyses, and I love how much stuff is in here. You get a couple articles that cover the game that you get in it as well, and you also get the rules typically for the games are published in a separate little booklet, so you don't have to pull anything out or have the magazine handy, which is nice. But man, do I love reading these. I just love it.
I've read, I think I think you have
this
one. I don't have these two, but I enjoyed reading. I read it over a 2-week period, just 1 or 2 articles, and man, it was a good time. I enjoyed it.
I like how much is in here as well.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm going to fork out for a magazine, because it's coming from France, so it's not the cheapest thing.
Well, and I would say almost every one of these are anywhere from $25 to $45.
More on the high end.
Yeah,
though.
But I've seen some.
$30 to $40.
It's like $30 to $45. But you got to remember, you're paying for 20 articles. You're paying for, in some cases, an entire game. In some cases, a lot of counter sheets. So it's not like this is just a magazine. If this was just a magazine, this would be $7, $8, $9.
Well, it would probably be more because the whole supply and demand thing.
Yeah,
these are pretty niche.
Right.
This isn't Good Homes magazine where
you're going to sell a billion copies.
You have to understand that and take that into consideration. Yeah. Magazine games are a nice way to play games, and because they don't take up a lot of space.
Well, they're typically small. They typically 50 counters or less. Some of them have a lot. That Ichigo has 250 counters.
And I guess that's the thing is how I approach Wargame magazines is. C3I is going to be an annual purchase for me.
Yeah.
Because of the stuff in it.
Yeah.
I love the stuff. Battles magazine, I'm in it for the magazine side of it.
Yeah.
And then everything else, I would be more just picking and choosing about the thing that I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
If I'm that's a game or a topic of a game that I'm very interested in, I'm going to focus in and get that.
Yeah.
That's just how I approach it, because there's a lot out there, and it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There's so many back issues of the old games as well. You're like,
And I guess the way I approach it is, we have played a smattering of the games that come in them. So not always are we interested in the theme or the setting or the historical, background. But the ones we play, I'm really in it for the articles.
Yeah, I'm always going to read the magazine, even if I don't play the game.
Yeah, and I'll put this on my nightstand. It'll sit on my nightstand for a couple of weeks until I'm done with it.
Yes.
And I've had 2 or 3 of them, depending on when they've come. I enjoy them. I have a good time with them.
But yeah,
they're a good addition to just normal wargaming. 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you had all the games in it, it'd be about this thick, and that's 9 war games, right? So there's
a lot in there.
That's a good way to hide how big your collection is from people who are trying to get in there and judge you.
Yeah,
you can just put them in magazine folder, the holders.
I have a little magazine
opaque, so they can't even see how many's in there.
The one problem with storage on them is the ones that have the counters, once you punch them and clip them and throw the cards in them, there's a big bulge, and it makes it hard to store them.
Like all folio games, you get the little bulge.
Yeah, I have never been a huge fan of folio games. I know they do it because it's a low-cost entry point into that game. I'd rather pay, what does a box cost, $7?
Well, and the thing is most of these games, you could put in a little slimline 1-inch box.
Yeah.
that's the reality of it.
Right.
You could do that with most of these games.
But I mean, that way I'm an orderly person. I like to stack them up on the shelf. I'd love to have all these that say Battles Magazine. Now, C3I has come out with that foldable
little pizza box that you put on
and
with stickers.
it works well. I've got the stickers on 3 or so of
That's
them.
a nice solution.
Yeah. So anyway, I like the magazines. They're a good addition to, I think, the hobby.
Yes. Okay, so that was our monthly topic. Again, if you want to get in on having an opportunity to suggest topics that we'll look at, you can sign up to our Patreon. That's one of the reward levels that you can get in on. There's also a great community there. You get a Slack channel, which is a little program you can have where it's a big forum where I'm always on it, basically. And there's some game designers and publishers on there. And we have a great community of people who just chat about war games, board games, and everything else in between. I think for the monthly
we're
wrap
going
up,
to talk about our D&D upcoming.
That's the other thing that we're going to talk about is Grant has taken it upon himself to run a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Yeah, well, we're going to do Pathfinder, but
yeah. So
you guys keep getting confused. I mean, I call it D&D because to me it's D&D, but we're going to use the Pathfinder rule set.
So I currently have been spending a lot of my spare time. I know you can't see it because it's disguised against my leopard print here, but I'm painting up a bunch of different miniatures. So I got a nice big fat blue dragon here that we're working on.
Come on, you got to push that up to the camera so they actually see it. Look at that thing.
Look at that freaking
thing. This miniature is from. Is it WizKids?
That is a WizKids one, yes.
It was $14. It's resin.
No, that one's plastic.
This is it?
Yep.
Okay, it's a little sturdier, but $14 for this huge red or blue dragon.
He's halfway through being painted. I got a big giant snake guy. This is actually from Mansions of Madness. So that's something that we're doing and we're working on right now. That's coming.
That'll be in
the future.
In and above our.
You may not hear about that stuff, but
we're not going to talk about it on the channel.
You might hear tweets and stuff, but that's something that we're working on right now as well.
Because we love role playing; it's fun.
Yes.
So, thank you for painting them. They look amazing. I've really appreciated the fact that you're doing that. I used to paint; my painting sucked, but you're much better at it than I am, and quicker. So, anyway,
so that is our monthly debrief.
Another 45 minutes. You're never going to get back.
Yes, we'll see you again in a month's time, and we'll see how many of these games we actually got to and played.
Yeah.
But appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.